Starfleet Underground. Every week, we'll take a look at the latest Star Trek news and then check out a current or classic episode of Star Trek.
Star Trek Las Vegas, the 56-year mission is less than a week away. We'll be there along with the Nerd Trek podcast. And our dots want to go cosplay as slot machines. Plus, we watched that episode of Enterprise where Trip gets stuffed into a tiny escape pod with a gorgeous lady and crash lands on a planet.
What do you mean, stick it in you? What are you talking about? Coin slots? You're not a slot machine. What do you mean, yes you are, and all the dots are slot machines now? No, I don't care if you are pretending to be a slot machine. You're not coming with us to Vegas.
He really wanted to go cosplaying this time.
No, you can't. And 007, why do you have a ripped up dress on?
He's playing a red shirt.
He says he wants to be ready in case they're in an escape pod.
I was wondering where that blonde wig went.
Oh, sometimes, man, in a way, I'm happy that our dots get so much personality.
Are you really, though?
It makes it interesting. They're not exactly boring old dots. But sometimes they cause a lot of problems. No, I'm not sticking in you. You know how that sounds?
I've heard singing Shadows of the Night with an electronic voice for the last week. Oh. It's been driving me crazy. They won't stop performing that.
Well, Pat Benatar is amazing, so.
She is, but not when the dots sing it. Oh, my God. No, why did you, Chief? Now they're going into rendition as Hell is for Dots.
Hell is for Dots. Okay.
With the, Pat Benatar's Hell is for Children.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
kids, ask your Napster before you call.
Now it's trying to shimmy out the room. Oh my God. I gotta video this shit one day for everyone to see this. Oh, yes, I'm aware that this is broadcasting. I've given up trying to stop the broadcast before we actually start.
Well, hey, it's better that they're doing that than doing their rendition of Wuthering Heights.
Yeah. That's true. Well, but it may be heading your way.
That high note, it just shatters everything in 10 forward.
They are pretty mischievous.
They might be coming your way, Heather.
Oh, yes. No, they already did. I've had a episode with one already.
You're the one that taught them how to play video poker?
No.
She taught them how to play strip poker.
Oh, yeah. That's why it's a XXX version of strip poker.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
I thought the Chief was doing maintenance. That explains why one of the dots came by and he was just a frame.
all the skin plates were removed.
All the skin parts are all gone.
Obviously, that dot was not very good at poker.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you for joining us here at Starfleet Underground. My name is Captain Nathan Adams, and I have a full crew complement today. First off, before we get started, I just want to get our bills out of the way first. Thank you for all our Patreon users and people who listen to us, as well as Section 31. You're greatly appreciated. I have with me the woman that needs no introduction, my science officer.
Hi, I'm going to introduce myself anyway. I'm Heather Ferris. I'm the science officer. Captain, so one of the dots came in here telling me I won a big jackpot, but they gave me, it looks like a check in your name. I don't know where he got this from.
Oh, great. They've been going through my drawers again.
I thought money wasn't important around here anymore in the 23rd century.
No, it isn't. But when I travel back in time, it is. Oh, my God. I said this out loud. Section 31 is going to get me for my side hustle.
Well, are you using those drawers that have skid marks in them still?
No.
Oh, jeez.
Whoa.
I only use that when we go on vacation because then nobody will go through a drawer with skid mark underwear to look for things. Well, great. Now that I've said that out loud, they will. Oh, it's not been a good day. It really hasn't. Okay. The person that keeps our programs running well, as well as to take care of all of our visitors, I have my number one.
Hey, this is Patrick. I'm number one. I'm a computer guy and foreign species liaison.
And on top of it, we have our manly man, the one who certain parts of his anatomy gets to the room before he does.
Hello.
There he is. There he is.
Hi, everybody. I like to use my microphone to sound bigger than I really am. Hi. I'm Rocky. I'm the engineer of the show and the ship. And how are y'all doing?
I want to say that our last visitor that we had on board the ship that didn't want to be on the show, but they wanted to see you because they heard about the legend and they wanted to see it was true. And I walked by your corridors and I heard her yelling, "It's true, it's true." So
that wasn't me watching Young Frankenstein at all.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was again. Oh my God, I got that so wrong.
Kids, not that kids listen to the show, but kids, if you've not seen Young Frankenstein, you should see that. It's a classic.
It is.
What's the song she sings?
Mystery of Night.
Mystery of Life. Mystery of Life.
Yeah. Now,
and if you're a kid listening, stop listening.
Yeah, this is not for you. If you're a child, like my science officer said, get out of the room. If you're under the age of 18, stop listening. A little bit of trivia. Do you know in that movie, Young Frankenstein, or Steen, as he likes to say,
Frankenstein.
Do you know why the horses yell every time they say Mrs. Brutenbrocker?
Frauenbrucker.
Yeah, Frauenbrucker. You know why?
Frauenbrucker.
Why?
Frauenbrucker, because Frauenbrucker in German is glue factory.
Yeah, it kind of ruins. It kind of ruins the joke when you translate it.
No, it is. That is true. I'm not making it up. It's true. I found that out because I have the special edition DVD of Young Frankenstein.
That's hysterical.
And in the DVD, they talk about behind the scenes stuff. And that was one of the reasons that the horses yell. They said because her name in German means glue factory. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That is pretty funny.
Okay, I forgot where I was.
You guys want to hear something kind of funny? I have been watching.
Sure.
YouTube always sends me these really weird videos to watch, but it got me on a good kick. There's this guitarist in Canada who plays the streets. He's a busker, he's a street busker. He's just playing on the streets for a little bit of cash. You know, he'll take and he just play ripping guitar solos. He's actually really, really good, and he's got a GoPro mounted on the end of the guitar, so you see this really cool guitar solo angle, and everybody in the background staring at him. You see all the drunk people, the crazy people, the people telling him to move. You got to leave. You got to get out of here. He's been hustled by people. He's been told, no, you can't play here because we're playing our music over here. And these guys are blasting this rap music on the boombox with the rapping and the swearing. And he's like, I'm really, really good guitarist playing these amazing solos. Anyway, he's really good. And the whole Star Trek tie-in, the name on YouTube is Shatner's Hairpiece. So I saw that. I'm like, I gotta mention this because this is actually pretty good. He's really, really good. You know, I have a lot of respect for that guy, but his name is Shatner's Hairpiece.
And Shatner's Hairpiece is really good also.
Doesn't play guitar though.
No.
But this guy does. It's pretty amazing.
Legend has
it's a lace front hairpiece. That's why you can't tell.
He used to steal them from the show all the time. So
I don't doubt that.
Funny. Okay, we got the children out of the way. We got our homework out of the way.
Did you introduce Heather?
Yeah, I did.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he introduced me.
Okay.
Oh, you drinking my Time Crystal coffee?
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
Next.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so I think we hit everything except for, we have any corrections?
Let me check subspace here. Just a moment. No, everything looks like it's 100% clear.
Now, we did mention Vegas.
Yes.
We're going to be at the Star Trek convention, except for Heather. Heather's not going.
No, she's
all the cool kids. All the cool
girls allowed.
Some girls are allowed.
Someone has to stay with the ship.
But we're going to be at the Star Trek convention in Las Vegas next week. So that should be a whole bunch of fun. And if you're listening to this after Monday, then it'll be this week. But anyway, time crystals aside, Heather's going to mention that I'm part of a panel.
Yes.
The Nerd Trek podcast is putting on a massive panel on Sunday. At some point, it still says to be announced on the schedule. Like to be, it's going to happen at some point. We just don't know when. It's tentative. But at some point on Sunday, there's just going to be this massive panel about fans doing podcasts and expressing themselves, and you know,
it's tentative.
something's tented. Yeah,
it's tented. Okay.
Tentative.
To be determined.
To be determined.
TBD.
To be. I mean, if they don't make room for us, we'll just go fucking do it outside on a hallway or something. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. There's going to be people from other podcasts like the Sci-Fi Sisters and of course the Nerd Trek guys. It's going to be
exciting.
Going to be cool talking about being a fan, doing a podcast about your favorite show at the convention. That's about your favorite show. It should be a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah. Also, a bit of information. I was trying to get somebody to come in and take over piloting this ship so you could join us, Heather. And apparently, when I went to request access for you at Bally's, and they said no, she's a counter. What does that mean?
It means that
She cheats.
I do very good accounting.
She's very good at accounting books.
She's
finances, statistics.
She's a
I don't get
cheater.
it. Why did they be mad if she counts? Because everybody's favorite Sesame Street character is to count.
It's
just because I'm 86th at Bally's doesn't mean that. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like bringing an android to the crabs table. You don't bring your android to the crabs table.
Oh, okay.
And
I got it.
That they charge like $32 a day for parking at Bally, so Nathan will be Ubering it over.
Well, no, because Bally's is a part of, I think it's the Caesars Properties, which also owns Rio. So if you go to one of their other properties, then you can take a shuttle to Bally's and you don't have to pay for parking and you don't have to deal with the Las Vegas traffic.
Okay, so we can just walk over to Rio and take a
shuttle.
Right. And
it's a long
or the
walk.
monorail. The monorail stops at Bally's.
And the monorail has air conditioning inside the monorail, so.
Yeah, if you're in any other casino, you could take the monorail. If you're going to walk over to the Rio, it's right outside. It tells you the name of the hotel the shuttle's going to, and then you could just take the bus there.
Where do you get the monorail from?
You go into, where we walk in normally?
Yeah.
You walk in there and then over where the old Star Trek, the experience was, if you just make a left there and it's right there. You just go up the stairs and you can get a day pass.
In Rio?
Yeah.
Well, no, that's
upstairs.
You said where the experience was. The experience was at the Hilton, but it's not the Hilton anymore.
Oh,
right.
It's so hard to keep track of the times now in Vegas.
I forgot.
They don't even have clocks on in the casinos. You can't even tell what time it is. So it's so hard to keep track.
So there is nothing at the Rio.
Monorail doesn't connect to the Rio.
It connects
There's
to the Hilton.
no monorail.
The trick I do if I want to get a good walk in and wheel my luggage around half of Vegas is after getting out of the airport, I Uber to the MGM and then I walk all the way through the maze of the MGM, find the monorail station there, and then I go ride the monorail to Bally's, and by the time my legs have fallen off, I'm at my hotel room.
And
okay.
It's a lot of moving around.
Thank you, listeners, because I heard some of you screaming out answers on how to get there, which is really weird. I think we're near a black hole. So
Don't talk about yourself like that.
I wasn't talking about my hole.
The exciting thing that's going to be really different, aside from the convention not being at the Rio, being at Bally's, is most of the convention center at Bally's is on the ground floor, but half of the convention is going to be up on the 26th floor.
Which is
like, what the fuck?
I mean, I'm pretty sure there are probably going to be some nice views out some windows, but the turbo lift rides are going to be legendary because we all know what happens in the turbo lifts.
Dude, the smell.
If the turbo lift's rocking,
don't come knocking.
Don't come a knocking.
The smell.
Don't walk in front of the doors.
Now, I don't know. Our listeners are pretty smart. So if you figured it out by now, the reason why it's been taking so long to get into the show is because everybody almost hated it. So especially Heather, I'm getting ready to do that, but I'm just explaining why it's bad.
We haven't even talked about the news yet. We should talk about the news.
Okay. Which thank you, Chief, because I was getting ready to bring that up and your timing is impeccable. We're going to go ahead and go with the news. So because you're my number one, I'm going to have you go number first.
What? Like me first? Oh my
That's
God.
right.
Like, has hell frozen over?
I told you. I told you it would go to his head.
I know.
Anyway, okay, so Thursday, September 8th, if you're a true Star Trek fan, you know what September 8th is, but for those of you who don't, it's Star Trek Day, and we're going to have a celebration at the Skirball Center in Los Angeles, starting at 12 noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. It'll kick off with a live red carpet, and it's co-hosted by Jackie Cox, woohoo, and Mary Chieffo, and they'll be interviewing Star Trek cast members from past and present. There's going to be a number of panels from Picard, Lower Decks, Prodigy, Strange New Worlds. They're also also going to have a tribute to Nichelle Nichols. They're going to have a behind-the-scenes set tour of Star Trek Discovery, a put on your best face, which means a lucky fan will get transformed into a Star Trek alien by a series makeup artist. There's going to be a Star Trek cosplay runway hosted by Jackie Cox, and a special musical guest, Reggie Watts from The Late Show with James Corden, and stand-up comedy from Brian Posen, who you might know from Big Bang Theory and Mr. Show. And it will stream live afterwards on Paramount Plus.
Outstanding.
And if you want to find anything about it, you can StarTrek.com/day.
What the hell is a dot?
What is
where's
that?
a dot? Where's a dot at?
Sorry, that's my browser.
You didn't give the dot a coin, did you?
He did.
Because then it's going to ask you to pull its arm.
Don't
My
pull.
browser's also on Facebook, and it's notifying me that there's somebody who wants to talk to me.
Oh, so it is rare
Oh,
when that happens.
okay.
Oh, brother.
Just to add on to what Patrick said, they will be showing a video tribute for Nichelle Nichols.
Do they have any more information about that?
Oh, I think Captain has more information.
Yeah, but I thought it was the Wait.
Patrick.
You were going to talk about the Star Trek United Gives campaign again, right? Weren't you, Captain?
No. I was talking about.
Why wouldn't you talk about that? Because that's a cool campaign.
I was
Yeah,
going
for
to be talking
every
about.
person who tweets with that hashtag, that a dollar gets donated and divided equally between Paramount to charities that support organizations who do real world work of championing diversity, equity, and innovation in honor of Nichelle.
But I thought the video thing that my science officer was talking about was the one for Star Trek Day. Which one you were talking about?
Yeah, that's what she's talking about.
So Patrick mentioned that they are doing a tribute for Nichelle Nichols. I was just adding on it. It's a video, and then I think you had more information about it.
No, my
Actually, his
information
info-
is for Vegas.
Okay.
They're doing a tribute in Vegas as well.
Yeah. So now, because you guys did what you did, I won't make a sound when I flatulate for a while because my thunder was stolen. But that's okay.
Oh, great. Now we could deal with
Jeez.
silent but deadlies.
That's
you
right.
make a lot of noise when you flatulate.
No. So when you go down the corridor, all you're going to hear is. So
No, when you fart, it's like when the ships are rocking, don't come knocking. That's how loud it is.
I told you it's a detection warning. It's proximity alerts. Okay.
One last thing about Star Trek Day. If you use the code Star Trek Day, you get 20% off site wide at shop.startrek.com.
Okay. Are you done now,
Maybe.
Chief?
Yo.
Your turn.
Okay, now there's this thing called Star Trek Day. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, guys. That was bad joke. There are some books coming out based on Star Trek video games that are coming out as well. Yeah, so Star Trek Resurgence should be releasing like any moment now because they first said it was coming out in the spring and then they said fall, November-ish. So sometime soon, Star Trek Resurgence comes out and it's also going to have a 5-issue miniseries tied to it. And it's a book miniseries. This one's will be comic books. And it's about a prequel story of catastrophic events that happens to the crew of the USS Resolute. And this USS Resolute is on a stealth mission to recover somebody you may have heard of before, Dr. Leah Brahms. They're keeping her research out of enemies' hands. And anybody raise their hands they don't know about Leah Brahms?
Isn't she related to Brahms, the composer?
No, I don't think so.
No?
But
Okay.
she happens to be, let's just say somebody, a famous engineer on the Star Trek Enterprise simulated her in the holodeck and forever made his character extra creepy to some people. But yeah, so that's really cool. No, not Riker. Riker, it doesn't. It's not for some reason when Riker does it, it's not creepy. But when Geordi does it, it's super creepy. I don't know why that is because Geordi's like the bomb. But anyway, Star Trek Resurgence, the first one will be out somewhere in November, and there's going to be 3 variant covers for it, and the game's on pre-order. You can go find that. So there's also a Star Trek Prodigy video game called Supernova. That's coming out October 14th. It's also getting some book love. There is a tie-in from Simon & Schuster. It's a book that I didn't get much detail on because there's my notes. Where'd they go? Okay. Anyway, the book will be coming out towards January. So you'll have some time to play the game and then get the book. And it's coming out in hard book, ebook, audiobook. It'll be on Amazon. There's also, there's probably another book based on Star Trek Prodigy coming out in January as well. really exciting. This one's called Dangerous Trade, and it's apparently a part on the ship goes bad with the transporter, and they need to trade in some Starfleet parts to get a transporter part to work, and then all kinds of hilarity ensues because that's the dangerous trade. Anyway, Star Trek books based off of video games and TV shows. It's a thing.
Cool.
Little known fact. The reason why people thought Geordi was creepy is because they've heard him say, taste the rainbow.
Yum.
So there's that.
I never found Geordi creepy, but then again,
No,
he never simulated me in the holodeck.
You've never seen Nathan cosplay him.
Yeah, and that's going to be, you'll get a chance to see it this weekend. Okay, my news is that for those of you that are going to the convention and you're not banned for counting, there's going to be a video tribute and a highlight for Nichelle as well. However, there's going to be a show with Robert Picardo. Tig Notaro is going to be doing stand-up. And there's going to be another tribute for Ricardo Montalban. And it's going to be his son-in-law is going to be involved.
Montalban.
That's what I said. And they're going to have rich Corinthian leather. So that's going to be nice.
That'll be on the cosplayers.
At least you got that right.
It's going to be a touching thing because of the fact that Nichelle was there for almost. What? It's not touching your thing. Stop. It's going to be very touching because Nichelle was almost every single year she was at the convention. So it's going to be really something else. I'm going to be sad about that. So I don't know. If you're going to go, there's COVID protocol in place. In order to attend the convention, you're going to have to make sure that you're vaccinated, bring your card or show proof of vaccination. Or if you're not vaccinated, you're going to have to show a negative test result at least 3 days before you enter. So don't show up thinking you're going to get in if you haven't been vaxxed or tested. So that's a reminder.
Do we have to wear masks again?
Yes. And you got to wear masks. So once before we go ahead and get started, this is the part of our review that Heather does not like. And you can hear her sound like a vampire who's presented garlic. She's like, so she doesn't like it. However, my number one is going to go ahead and start off the recap.
I am? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this week's episode was Star Trek Enterprise Season 2, Episode 11, Precious Cargo. Teaser. Trip's harmonica playing is interrupted by some pair work that needs to be done on an approaching alien ship.
Did you notice? I don't remember Trip playing the harmonica. He's really, really good.
Yeah, Trip is really good with that.
It's better than the theme song of the show, actually.
So that wasn't a normal thing in future episodes, him playing the harmonica?
I don't remember it. And that surprised me because I'm like, wait, he plays a harmonica? And then he's really, really good.
I guess they didn't want it to seem like a Western.
He should totally redo the theme song.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah, because they didn't want it to be like a Western. Then the theme song would have been, oh, give me a home where the pulsars all roam. So, yeah.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
Lame.
Ooh, what's lame is to hear what you're going to say for Act 1. Go ahead.
Act 1. Three's Company, or a crowd. A Retailian freighter is having problems with their life support systems. Tucker meets Archer and T'Pol at the docking port. The aliens explain they've been hired to transport a woman back to her homeworld, but her stasis pod began malfunctioning, and if she wakes, there won't be enough supplies for the three of them, as they still have a long journey ahead. They gladly accept Tucker's help, and Goff asks for a bath. Plynn guides Tucker to the malfunctioning pod, which is powered by an old Ardanan power cell. Tucker suggests EPS conduits and asks Hoshi for assistance in translation. Goff thanks Archer for the hospitality and explains the woman's family isn't expecting her for 5 months, and so politely declines Archer's offer of assistance. The woman wakes while Tucker is working on the pod, kicking and screaming. Tucker realizes she isn't here by choice. Goff and Plynn are at dinner with Archer and receive an alert that the pod has opened. Goff leaves to check it out and ends up knocking Tucker out. Archer calls to Tucker but gets no response and escorts Plynn back to his ship. Goff fires upon them and takes the ship and leaves, breaking the docking clamps in the process.
First off, this is the one time I think Archer should have had righteous indignation. Because, like, motherfucker, you just not just break our clamps. What the hell did you just do?
Tore away from the ship.
And that's why you don't send your chief engineer on away missions. You send the underlings first to find out if they can fix it.
Is it just me or do those guys seem like slightly advanced Pakled?
Yeah.
Oh,
they were cousins.
I was just thinking, don't you hate it when unexpected visitors drop by?
That can be annoying.
It can be.
And I love when he like gets the frost off the glass and Hoshi's like, you know, you just checking her out, aren't you?
It's not polite to stare.
He
No.
freaking called her Sleeping Beauty. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know that frost on the glass? Because this girl was really good looking. I have a theory. I don't know if that was actually frost. I think that might have been something else that was a white substance.
Oh, jeez.
He wasn't in there long enough to do that.
Well, I don't think it was from him. I think it was from the other guys.
It wouldn't have been crystallization like that. It would have been like stuck. They would have to get Windex or.
Well, since we're talking about those two guys, did you guys know that Leland Crook, who played Plyn, he also played Gelnon in Deep Space Nine, the episode One Little Ship and Honor Among Thieves.
No.
And then Scott Clace, who played Goff, also played Dermek on Voyager, the episode Juggernaut.
I didn't know that. You always give the best info behind the scenes stuff. Thank you.
That's cool. I
thank you.
love that you find actors, and this is how good their acting is you don't realize they were in a previous episode of another version of the show.
Yeah.
I think that's just awesome. They keep bringing people back. It gives them jobs to work on and gives you entertainment.
Exactly.
Entertainment.
I thought it was kind of cool. And then the guy shows up and, he's doing his best to try to rip open the pod. And to his credit, he tries to help him until she pops out and then nails him in the back of the head. It's like, dude, seriously, his antenna should have went off even if she didn't understand what she was saying.
I liked his little phone call to the other guy. There's a minor problem. No, it's just a minor problem.
That was couple speak.
That was code for get the fuck over here right now, because that's exactly what he did. It's like, guys, I gotta go. Thank you for the dinner. It was lovely. I'm out.
Yeah, that was couple speak. Anybody who's been together for a while. Yeah, anybody who's been together for a while's got code words that only each others know. And so this is a big warning thing. I thought that was cute. It's like, it's a minor issue. It's like, well, thank you for the food. We got to go. No, we're going to send people over with you. No, that's not necessary. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, and of course, they wisely sent Reed anyway. Reed's like, it's okay. I'm ordered to do it.
Yeah.
And then Goff just takes off and leaves Plyn there like, hello.
Hey, if you can't get aboard the ship by the time we pull out of there, fuck you.
Yeah, it's
See
like,
ya,
I didn't really like you anyway. So
That's the kind of relationship these two have. They have code words going, oh, there's a minor problem. They can say that over the comms, but they also, if you don't get on the ship, fuck you, I'm out.
Mm-hmm. So
at least we know that Goff pulls out.
Oh, Jesus.
And he wrecks
my
it.
God.
And he wrecks it while he's pulling out, which is bad. It's bad.
Did you guys notice that this episode was inspired by another episode?
It was?
Yep.
Which one?
The Next Generation. It's called The Perfect Mate. And the writers even reference it when they're talking about this episode.
Really?
As it being inspired by that one.
That's interesting.
I
I
didn't know
don't
that.
see the similarities so much, although I guess there's some royalty involved. I guess that I can go with that.
Well, they talked about the same planet and everything. The woman was from the same planet as
Really?
that episode. Yeah.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. So,
No, I didn't.
well, that's all. They could have brought that up because then I would have been like, oh, it's from that same. I didn't realize it was the same planet. That's interesting.
Well, this is in the past, so the next generation would be in the future.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. But
That
she
was
wasn't. Okay, so that's interesting. So that lays up something different because in the future, she's like, she imprints. Thank you. Imprints on the person that she first sees. Otherwise, they keep her away from people. That's interesting. And that was one of the things that was fascinating about that episode is when she imprinted on Picard and instead of the person she was supposed to imprint on in the first place, all kinds of things went down with that.
Especially Picard.
So was Trip the first person she saw?
This episode, I don't know if she was the very first, but
Okay.
No, but she sure didn't imprint the way she was going off on him.
did not imprint whatsoever, at least not instantly. Not like on the
No.
other show, my goodness. And they didn't make a big deal about that either. They're just kind of like, we're just shipping this woman. It's just like, really?
She hated Trip, but she still next section did it. So obviously she imprinted, right?
Something imprinted, but I don't think
No, you don't have to imprint to do it.
He stamped her.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of people I've not imprinted on and done it with.
Oh my God.
Yikes.
Too much information.
Okay. What I thought was
that's all in the past.
what I thought was interesting was Archer was like, "Oh, we can get there so much quicker than you guys. Why don't you just, park in our cargo bay and we can tow you on over?" And they're like, "Oh, no, we can't get there that quick. They're not expecting her for 5 months. The family won't even be ready." And two things about that. That was just such an awkward but kind of makes sense thing. It was like, well, yeah, I guess their family wouldn't be ready. That would kind of be rude to just drop them in on like early like that. That would kind of suck. But on the other side, it's like, did you guys just see the visual effects? Because the visual effects, the ship didn't look like it would fit anywhere near the size of their launch bay. That ship was huge compared to what the shuttle pods looked like. I don't think it would totally fit inside.
I think Archer was just fishing. He thought something was up. So he says, well, let me see if I can make everything possible for them to get someplace and see what they do.
And the other thing is, I guess that's the third thing I didn't think of, but we found a ship that's slower than this Enterprise, because this Enterprise is not very quick at all.
No.
It's kind of...
The Richelieu freighter only goes warp 2.
Yeah, it's like, wait, they only do warp 2? I mean, we can fart faster than that.
Yeah. So let's go to the, speaking of farts, next section.
Act 2. I'm the first monarch. Oh, who cares? I'm being held prisoner. Enterprise pursues, knocking the freighter out of warp 2, and it releases a cloud of dilithium hydroxyl, which disables Enterprise's warp engines temporarily. The woman picks up a weapon and beats Tucker with it. He signals he's not one of the captives and insinuates he will untie her. Goff comes in and yells at Tucker to fix the pod. He says it'll be a while. Once the Universal Translator is online, she explains that she's a prisoner and was attacked on her way home from a diplomatic mission. Her name is Kataima, I think. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but oh well, Kataima.
She only said it once.
Yeah, destined to be the first monarch of the sovereign dynasty of Krios Prime. She thinks Goff will request a ransom for her return, but Tucker doesn't want to wait that long and suggests that they leave in the escape pod. Back on Enterprise, T'Pol interrogates Plin. He pretends to be a victim and says he doesn't know anything. Archer orders him to be kept in the airlock. Tucker is trying to open the cargo bay, but Kataima won't come along. She doesn't think that Goff will hurt her because of her value. Tucker knows he'll be dead the minute the pod's fixed and tells her the hostage situations rarely turn out as expected. They both get in the escape pod, and although it's made for one, and they jettison it out across the subspace threshold successfully. Tucker finds a star system 90 million kilometers away, and they head for it.
First off, it was kind of funny watching him trying to explain what the translator is.
I really enjoyed that because I'm like, there's no fucking way she's going to get what the hell he's talking about. And what do you know? The first thing she does is look down and picks up, you mean this thing? Well, she completely understood his charades.
Well, it's just like women tends to be smarter than men anyway. So the fact that while he's like trying to look over the room and make it difficult, she's like, you were standing here, you were hit over the head here. So there it is.
Well, she also whacked him. I mean, come on. She beat the fuck out of him too. Poor Trip is getting like, he can't catch a break here.
He keeps getting beat off left and right.
Something's getting beat off.
Oh, jeez.
And so he sits and he works on it. And it's like, as an engineer, I guess he can figure out all kinds of different stuff, the way the ship operates, because he's in the panel. He figures out how to get the panel. They go through a crawl space, and she's behind him in the long princess dress, and they make it to the thing, and she's trying to climb in, and then the rating people go like, hey, guess what? Let's increase the rating. She's got good legs, right? Rip the dress. It's funny because I just saw a joke on Facebook go by, and the joke was there's this chick that's trying to get on the bus, and she's in the fancy dress, and she can't lift her leg high enough to reach the step. And I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. And then next thing you know, I see something similar on Star Trek. I'm like, really? I guess maybe it's not ridiculous.
Why the fuck can't they just lift their dress up over their knees like that? You don't have to fucking rip the dress. All you have to do is just lift it up.
Hinge it up.
This is why this joke doesn't work if it's written by a woman. It's obviously not a woman joke, right?
All women are looking at that like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I thought it was ridiculous too. It's like her dress is so tight she can't get her leg high enough to get into the escape pod.
And it wasn't that tight. Like I've had tighter dresses on than that, and I could still move.
So is Nathan.
She had to, don't even try it. She ripped it, like you said, rather than hitch it up. And she had to cut it up, not just above the knee, but she had to make it thigh high.
I was impressed that she was able to rip it and not tear it completely up the wrong direction. Because if I was going to tear something, I would totally try to tear right along the seam, like exactly where it should go. And it would still go the fuck way up too high and off, and might as well just take the whole thing off by then.
Then it'd be like, I didn't know royalty went commando. You know.
Well, also, hems sort of make it hard to rip shit. Like, it's not that easy to rip your clothes.
No, she's supposed to be princess, so that fabric should have been expensive as fuck, but yet she ripped it like cheesecloth.
Princess and the Pea.
Princess wears cheesecloth.
I mean, expensive fabric does rip really easily, so actually I take that back.
Yeah, I was going to say, the more expensive it is, the more delicate it is because it's really soft and gentle. It'll tear a whole lot easier. You ever notice how you put something nice on and the next thing you know, you twist the wrong way or catch the wrong thing? You get a torn a hole in it or you've ripped the string off of it or whatever. It happens all the time.
And it unravels. But they got into the pod. He was able to blind the ship. He was able to do all of this stuff in there before they got in there. And he's like, well, let's go ahead and get out of here. So now we're dropped in the middle of nowhere. Where the hell we're going to go? And I like the fact that they're using the translator to try to read the symbols. I've never seen the translator do something like that before.
Yeah.
Usually the translator was only vocal. But
maybe it's an update.
Audio only.
Didn't Hoshi have a problem translating before? Because she was asked to translate symbols and there's like, it's not a phonetic thing. She can't figure it out.
Yeah, but he somehow was able to do it. So that's a plot hole.
I think that's a season 2 upgrade.
They needed it to work.
Yeah, they need to figure something out. So he finds a planet that's got good enough oxygen and everything. So they says, well, you know what? Let's hit here while you sit on my lap and we can talk about the first thing that pops up.
And it's only 90 million kilometers. So it's, it's a short ride.
Yeah, it's not like you're going on a major trip or anything. Although that thing looked smaller than the backseat of my Honda when my first car was a Honda.
And you're sitting on my hand.
That was so tight. I mean, who designed this thing? They put the controls under her butt. I mean, that's a weird place to put the control for landing.
Well, technically, sometimes the control can be under someone's butt.
And it depends on the alien, too. Maybe that's not their butt. Our butt might be in a different location than their butt.
Yeah, but you saw the guys. They didn't look like, well, maybe they bought it from someone else. Maybe it's not their ship. So that's a good point.
You never know. So they make it over there. Meanwhile,
back on the Enterprise, Archer's like
this episode where
he said store them in the airlock. Just like put them in the airlock, keep them over there. I'm like, that's not very hospitality wise a nice thing to do.
But he was pissed though.
Well, he wasn't sharing the warp frequency. It's like, you don't know the warp frequency. He's like, I don't know tech stuff. That old excuse.
Yeah, liar, pants on fire. Okay. I guess we can go to the next section.
Act 3, Hot and Swampy. Tucker and Kataima are working on each other's last nerve. Flynn is brought into a dimly lit room where Archer awaits. He mentions the tribunal will take place in this room, and T'Pol will be the judicial administrator, and she brings harsh punishments. Flynn objects, saying that they don't have jurisdiction and he wasn't responsible. T'Pol comes in and asks him if his culture has death rituals, saying she has complete autonomy when he asks that his government be contacted. Archer plays good cop and says he might be able to get leniency for some information. In the escape pod, Tucker and Kataima find some food in a compartment. Tucker indicates the planet has breathable atmosphere and a few islands. They end up landing in a hot, swampy area.
Yeah, they had mud butt.
Wow.
Swamp ass.
Yeah, but there was you notice that there was no animals.
Yeah. No insects.
There was no insects,
ants.
no critters, and
you might hear something, but it didn't seem like it was like nearby.
Yeah,
No
and they
flies.
started arguing. And of course, when you have royalty, whenever you put royalty in a place, they madly fall in love with you. But it's still,
I'm surprised how well they got along considering. I just, they seem to really not to like each other very much at the front.
No, fetch this, fetch that, do this, do that.
She was really getting on his nerves, though. I got to admit, that seemed a little, he's like, stop interrupting me. You lift your butt, you're in my way. And
your butt's in my face.
But
they kept bickering.
But at the same time, he's like, look, I'm willing to try to get along with you. I really am. So
as long as you take off your clothes and sit on my face.
And well, she was sitting on his hand. That's kind of close, right?
Yeah. And then on top of it, it's like, okay, I'm hungry. Fetch me something to eat. It's like, fetch me something to eat. Well, there's a good chance it might be above us because, all ships are designed the same no matter what.
Yeah, that's where you're going to put the food naturally. Just put it up to the top. So you go open the door and it fucking drops on your head.
And it's like, this looks like jerky.
He had beef jerky. I like they had beef jerky stashed. If you're going to have some emergency food stashed, might as well make a good road trip food like beef jerky.
And you notice that as a kid, you never wanted to drink behind someone else because you backwash and germs. But she sucked on that straw right off the bat.
She was really thirsty.
Yeah.
Well,
she didn't even wipe it. Oh, did she wipe it, Heather?
Even when they were having sex, though, Trip's like, I'm not contagious. And it's like, how the fuck do you know? You are an alien. Something that may be asymptomatic to you, that's normal to you, may be deadly to her.
And he forgot about his pregnant hand.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Why is Trip doing this to this? I mean, their chemistry wasn't that good in the first place. And why is he going to go through with this? He should have cut that off right away. Because he knows the last time.
Chlamydia from me.
He didn't want to get knocked up, right? But were they using protection at least? They should have whipped a condom out. A condom should have fallen out next to the food coming out of the bin.
Now, I saw a meme one time that made me hysterical. It was Superman and Lois Lane on their first night alone. And you see Lois is laying in the bed and Superman is taking off his shirt. And she's like, oh my, Clark. And then he drops his pants. And she's like, what the hell is that? And he goes, why, that's my dick. He goes, why does it have claws and pinchers? He says, to hold on to you. that made me laugh because we think that all alien anatomy is going to be the same as Earth's. So
how were they even compatible? I mean, geez.
Thank you.
I hope she didn't have teeth.
Oh my God! It's like, why does it look like a hand so it can grip you?
I mean, in some species, the male dies after getting it on. That could have been a very dangerous thing to do, Trip.
That would have been hysterical.
That's a good point.
And funny.
Yeah. Oops, I'm dying. Sorry, I killed him.
She asked him, do you want me to eat you? And he's like, sure. Not knowing that.
Well, just like that Star Trek show where Kirk was stuck on a mental institution and he had the Orion woman that slept with him. And she looks at him and goes, now that you love me, I have to kill you. So you'll never leave me. And so I don't know if you guys remember that one.
It's creepy.
That was with Darth.
Darth.
No,
it was creepy.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. I'm just going to continue on here. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get to the part where they knock boots.
Okay. Act 4. Let's do it like they do it on the Animal Planet.
That's not the way the song goes.
Well, whatever. It's close enough. They explore the area and set up camp while continuing to irritate each other to no end. She refuses to do manual work, and he tells her to get wood. She stands right up in his face, telling him that
I'm sorry. I tried to hold that one in. I knew the wood thing was coming up, but I still laughed at it. I apologize.
Okay, let me do that over. She refuses to do manual work. He tells her to get wood. She stands right up in his face, telling him that he could be in prison for speaking to her that way. He says he should get a medal for saving her life. She'd be dead otherwise. It would be preferable, she says, and Tucker snarks back, well, the commoners wouldn't complain if you were dead. She tries to smack him, but he blocks it, and they both end up falling in the nearby water and making out and getting busy. Tucker wakes upon hearing the sound of an escape pod subspace beacon, but since he doesn't know if it's Goff, he smashes the beacon. Tucker sets a trap for Goff, and they get into a fight. Kataima knocks Goff out with a stick that she found, and that is when Archer, T'Pol, and Reed arrive to rescue them. Back on Enterprise, Tucker escorts Kataima to the battle cruiser that awaits to take her home. He jokes her family would probably never let him see her if he visited, to which she replies, well, once she's monarch, they can change the rules, and asks him to come visit her.
That whole thing right there, he's up in a tree in his underwear to drop down like a fat ceiling bug. He's very, very, I guess he's the same color as the tree or something because he's very disguised. Yeah, with that blue. Oh, yeah, that blue blends.
Blends right in.
It's still.
You couldn't see a flash of blue underwear coming at your direction.
But why he didn't put his uniform back on?
Well, I like the decoy with the uniform. I thought that was hilarious. They put like a little pumpkin head on it and it gets phased. And that's not Trip. You didn't kill anybody.
And she's singing like a little Miss, she's mumbling like a little Miss Homemaker. her, matchmaker, make me a match. And then he jumps on, and then you have the next thing. It's like, did he bring company? And then here comes Archer and T'Pol, and T'Pol is giving that look that you really don't like the women to give you that look. That
fuck, are you naked again?
What are you doing now, dude? Seriously?
Did you not learn from the first time you got pregnant?
How can you not? Aliens. I just, the nerve of that guy.
It's like, seriously.
What? Trip later in the future, he fucked so many aliens, he was later promoted to the foreign species liaison.
That's how Patrick got his position.
If only we knew. Yeah, that's probably where he would have been promoted from once he got out of engineering. Yeah, that's where he would end up going.
It's just like, oh.
The thing that disturbs me about it? She kissed him. I'm like, there's
she was
no
the
reason.
First. She moved first.
Is it like really? Of all the things you're going to do that with this person now in the situation. You're in the middle of the jungle. I can literally hear Axl Rose going, "You in the jungle, baby? You gonna die?"
Yep.
I can hear that, and they're just like, "Oh, I think I
never hear that again."
You're welcome, by the way. She's so pissed off at this guy. She wants to fuck him. I mean, really? Is this a thing?
Well, it sucks because it's like the moral of the story is be a dick and a girl will want to fuck you. Again, why I don't like Enterprise.
No, in my some odd years that I've been on this earth, I've only had a situation that happened similar to that once. This is not a thing. I was arguing with this girl I was with, and she decided to rear her head back and bite me onto my chest. So I picked her up and threw her across the room on the bed, where she bounced back like a fucking weeble, ran at me, and said, "That was hot. Do it again." That's when I realized I had to leave that relationship.
Yeah, that's like, oh, this is not what I'm into.
No. So she got mad and got excited getting mad. So I guess some people are like that.
To find the one guy in the galaxy that tells you no, maybe that's hot. I don't get it.
But she is the first monarch, so
Yeah, she's not normally being joking about the commoners and being told to go get some wood. It's like, oh, I can find some wood, but no.
It would have been funny if she did a Paris Hilton. It's like, go get some wood. That's hot.
And she comes back with the wood, and he's like, "That's not wood. That's like get some real wood." And
she manages to get dressed somewhat and tuck her in his underwear.
Well, they had to use his uniform for the dummy.
Did you see the fire, the campfire? Like, really? That's the biggest campfire you were going to put together? How can they even keep warm with that campfire? And they're not like, they're snuggled together, but they're not like cuddling. They're just next to each other. They're probably pretty cold with that fire because that fire sucked.
And they didn't even wash up afterwards.
Ew.
Also, too, when they were walking down the middle of that river, they had land just a few feet away. And here they are sledging through like the river. They're purposely trying to be dirty.
Yeah, well, I guess they wanted to be wet. So logic wise, they had good eye candy because she is very attractive, but the storyline and
even so, the writer of the story was David A. Goodman, and on several podcasts and interviews, he actually admitted that it was a piece of crap. He said, and I quote, "They were pretty much ready to fire me after this episode." And that he was very proud of the fact that he wrote the most hated episode ever in Star Trek. It's actually pretty interesting if you guys go check it out. He admitted, he straight up admitted, I was new to the staff. I had no idea what the rules were. I think a lot of my problems with the episode were my fault in the terms of how I approached the writing, but you learn as you go. And we definitely learned a lot from this. So I give a major props for that, just admitting that, because that's how you learn. I've been there where I've go in and I'm new and I make so many mistakes and it's horrible. So it's like, dude, I feel you.
It's really interesting because when I have no experience being a writer. I can only imagine what it's like being a writer because golly, they've got this wonderful gift of telling stories and putting them on paper and to put them in the exact format for a TV show is its own skill and job to do. And just to be able to get that far into it and just to be able to get like, yes, we're using your story. I'm like, you are? Like, really? Okay. That's awesome. But to go back and say, let's look at the work you did 10, 20, 30 years ago and where are you now versus then? And to come out and say, oh God, that was horrible. Why did we do that? It's amazing.
And that's the only way you're going to get better. If you stop right then and there, you're never going to get better. You have to make those mistakes. And I think a lot of people can't, they don't understand that it's part of the process.
Iteration. It's part of getting the better.
Well, it is. And also, a lot of people don't realize the reason why Star Trek was so good in the first 2 seasons, the original series, is because they had script treatments. They had DC Fontana and Roddenberry used to go over the scripts, and Dean Koontz and them, they would go over it and they would adjust and fix and tweak things to make it better. By the 3rd season, Roddenberry had checked out. Fontana wasn't doing it anymore. And that's how you wind up getting episodes like Spock's Brain. Or the Turnabout Intruder. And I think that Enterprise probably didn't have somebody like DC Fontana.
I think it's interesting, though, because you can point out episodes like that or even this one and say these are not, this is not a good example. But at the same time, for some people, this is incredibly entertaining, programming. I mean, I was entertained by Spock's Brain. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. It was kooky. It was wild. Turnabout Intruder, it was like, whoa, this is different. This is like, putting the characters that you've gotten used to into a weird situation that then they have to get out of. It's fascinating. Sticking Trip in with a gorgeous, princess, whatever she is. She never said she was a princess. She's like monarch, a king. What is it? What's the title? First,
she's royalty.
She's royalty. Putting a guy like Trip in with royalty into a shuttle or a escape pod that's not any bigger than my first car, the Honda Civic from the 70s. It was really, really, amazing that I thought it was a fun story. At the same time, Heather's going to tell me this was the most worst thing she's ever seen.
Probably.
She's the first monarch of the sovereign dynasty of Krios Prime.
How am I supposed to remember that? I mean, she came out and she literally was on a diplomatic mission in an escape pod. It sounded exactly like Star Wars, so I thought she's a princess.
The one thing that I will like that we didn't talk about in this act, this was the last part of it, but the one thing I did enjoy is the role playing that T'Pol had when she was acting like she's going to kill the guy when they were questioning him.
You could see it in her eyes. You could read, did you just fuck another alien? I mean, you could see it in the look.
I'm talking about the room where they were questioning the guy when Archer's
that scene. That was funny. That was
that was good.
That was good too. That role playing. I enjoyed that.
That was good.
It was pretty.
That's the one saving grace of this episode was that whole scene when she came in. In her dress uniform, so
she
to
had
speak.
the beautiful setup, though. I mean, Archer set that up perfectly. Like she hits us.
Like,
she beats us.
Do you have any rituals that you need to prepare before you die?
He played that so well.
Yeah, he's like, we started with a crew of 83. Now we've only got 76. I mean,
and the guy was freaking out, so that was pretty good. And he's like, I don't know what I could do. I'm gonna try, but it's out of my hands. But you're the captain. It's like. It's out of my hands.
I mean, they literally sent him into a room, turned off almost all the lights, and was like, "Look, I thought Archer was going to play good cop, bad cop with Reed. I didn't realize it was going to be T'Pol."
Yeah, and T'Pol is like, that's the one thing in this entire episode that I get a kick out of. I really get a kick out of that. So I'm not scared to ask, but I'm going to ask anyway because I have a good idea of where this number is going. So Heather, on a 1 to 10.
Again, 10 being the best, wonderful, great, 1 being horrible, awful, what the fuck. I give this a 2. So that's 2 episodes in a row that got a 2.
I'm impressed that they got a 2 out of you.
Yeah, really.
That's impressive because I thought you might have gotten it was at least a 1.5.
It was just as bad as the one last week, but it wasn't worse.
Okay, so it's going on an even keel.
It was even kill on that one.
Yeah. How about you there, number 1?
I'd give it about a 5. It was kind of like, it was neither here nor there.
Okay, middle of the road. And how about you, Chief?
Oh, shoot. I want to give it a high rating like I usually do, but because at the same time, you can have an episode that's really good in one direction, but not really good in the other direction.
Hey, don't bring One Direction into this.
I've never heard of them. Boy band? Yeah. I'm going to go 7.5. I was going to go 8, but I'm like, I can see where Heather's coming from on this. At the same time, I found it's quite an entertaining episode. I really enjoyed it. Maybe I want to get locked up in an escape pod with a royalty. but I'm just worried about having bad breath. I don't know how they dealt with that. Especially, she's been frozen for how long? How good is her breath going to be after getting thawed out?
That's true. And you do love your anchovies.
Yeah.
I think that just on the interrogation room, I'm going to give it a 3.5 to a 4. So to me, there was a lot of little logic holes in it, like using the translator to read symbols. It's like, when did that upgrade happen?
I liked when it started working, though. I was like, who is Hoshi? It's like, that was the funniest, it's like, she sounded so upset about Hoshi all of a sudden. Like, what? Who is Hoshi?
Why is Hoshi?
Yeah, she was jealous right off the bat.
Right. I was like,
who was Hoshi?
Yeah. And at the same time, I don't want to stereotype women of a certain, let's just say type, but it's just like,
God.
I've had people that I can't say I've worked for all of them, but some of them, sometimes they're very demanding about things. And when you work with somebody who's demanding about things, I understand the need to achieve perfection. I like that. I like to be able to achieve perfection. But at the same time, being locked up in an escape pod with somebody like this, I can see how Trip would be driven just a little bit crazy.
Yeah, especially the way he is, because we saw how obsessed he can be with the captain's chair. So
right
on that other episode,
and I kind of hand it to Trip though, trying to land an escape pod, and you're not exactly sure if you're looking at, is that meters or is that feet? I just know the number's going down, and we need to hit a button at some point in time to make it not crash. I have to give him props to figure that out.
Making your nets crash. What?
That was in episode they have for All Mankind.
Oh God.
The guy had to land and he couldn't trust his instruments. He had to just watch the horizon.
Just look at the horizon. She might as well just say use the force, because how are you going to know when to hit the button to land just at the right time on a planet that gravity is completely different? Although I imagine astronauts who had to do that kind of thing in real life, they would have to train so much that it's like second nature to them. They could do it in their sleep.
Hit the button.
Recommendation, for those of you that have Apple TV, For All Mankind is done by Ronald D. Moore.
Ronald D. Moore, and his work from Battlestar Galactica's Next Generation.
Everything. It's really well done. If you have Apple TV, you should give it a watch.
Also, the Akutas are on it too, doing some of that work.
And it's a really awesome done show. It's alternate reality.
It's really strange when you watch the first season and they're alternate doing, the space race. How many times have we seen space race shows where they bring out the 60s and, resimulate that? What would it be like if Armstrong landing on the moon and it's just amazing fun stuff.
Got there first.
And then it wasn't the Germans, it was the Russians. The Russians landed first in this show. Close. And it completely goes bonkers in all kinds of directions. And it does it in different time periods. So the first season's like the 60s, then they hit the 70s, then they get to the 80s, and then now the 90s, and now they're on Mars. And it's a bonker show. It's really good.
It's a race to Mars, and I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who wants to watch it. But you have United States and Russia. You get United States, Russia, and somebody who's like Elon Musk, all trying to get to Mars first.
That's really good. And then you find out who actually does get there first. It blows your mind.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Another show, if you have Netflix, I know we not normally give out recommendations, but it was so good that I have to. If you were a fan of the Sandman comics, Sandman on Netflix has been really good. It's
amazing.
It's really, really, really good. I really liked it a lot.
And there was a special extra episode last night.
Yep. And they had first episode of it was half was animation and the other half was live action. So you guys can see it. Okay, we're going to be done for now. Let Heather cool down and relax, because I'm sure she's going to be so upset. She's going to be ripping her uniforms, but in the privacy of our own room, because we have to get something.
Well, I don't know.
The
dots never give me privacy.
Yeah, they've been sending me a lot of pictures, and I didn't know you were so bendy. But I tried to delete them.
Those better not go on Patreon.
There's one I might send.
You mean on our Patreon?
Hey, well, you stick us all on there, so we can stick you on there.
Somebody's getting sticked on Patreon?
It's so much more fun when it's you guys.
Yeah. There's a really artistic picture. I think he was trying to do a stealth picture of you, and you're silhouetted, so you're backlit, so you don't really see anything, but you can tell by your silhouette. Yeah, so
she was backlit.
Nice picture.
Hey.
Nice picture. And there's one of Chief in the exercise room. And you were jumping rope, but it wasn't with a rope.
Oh my God.
She makes us hard.
I don't even want to imagine what this looks like.
Yeah.
Because I've seen things, man, and I don't want to know if I want to see these.
You were jumping rope with not a rope. So there's that. So, and there's one where Patrick has company and you see him looking out the door to see if anybody's watching as he slowly closes the door, and you can tell he's not wearing anything. So that was kind of seductive.
Sure. This is exciting to you guys? Okay. Are we going to go to Vegas next week? Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
can you imagine the Patreon photos that could come out of a visit to Vegas?
Oh, Patrick in a cuddle pile.
What?
I was just going to stand in front of some dice, some big dice.
They would look like a midget next to yours. Did that kid ever? No, not the kid. I thought it was a kid, but it was an alien. It turns out he was like 400 years old and was using your member as a ramp for his Hot Wheel.
Okay. Ay.
And what was really funny is that when it got halfway down, you got great muscle control because you flexed it and it flipped it into the air, and he was so happy.
I was worried you say it was going to do a loop-de-loop.
No, if you got that much control, we can make some money off you in Vegas.
That's probably true.
Oh my God, we'll send you over to the Thunder Down Under. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I know we went off on a tangent. We had to get the taste out of this.
Do you know what the episode is next week?
Oh, that's right. What is it?
It's called Grounded, and it's Lower Decks.
Lower Decks.
We're done with Enterprise.
Lower Decks.
Lower Decks.
Yay.
Lower Decks.
So
Lower
exciting.
Decks.
We're not going to be doing the catwalk just to piss Heather off?
No more Enterprise. No more Enterprise.
Well, at least until the end of October.
Okay, then next week, join us for the homework for Lower Decks. The very first episode is coming.
Of season 3.
So we'll be reviewing that on season 3.
Yay.
Thank you for joining us. We've had a good time. We probably went off on tangents to try to get the taste out of our mouth about this episode of Enterprise. But we'll be back next week. We don't know when or how, provided Heather doesn't take the ship and on joyride again. I found out later on through the damage report that she had to get the hull repainted. So I don't know what the hell you did with the ship.
She has to drive the ship backwards to get the odometer to roll back.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything.
And then it's not an idea to go warp 9 and then instantly hit the impulse to stop it like that. That doesn't
It's
damages
so much fun.
Yeah.
It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, so talk about loop the loops. The USS Butler was not made to do loops. So
the U-turns on this thing. Oh, I love it.
Oh, great. So thanks everyone for joining us. And thank you for the recap there, number one. Despite the material, you did a good job. And Chief, you always make us sound good. And Heather, thank you for all your miscellaneous facts and things. It really adds to the show. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to disconnect because I got fitness reports to write.
And I got to poop.
Yeah, and I'm going to be talking to each one of you.
Now everyone on the podcast knows. They're going to come back up. They're going to talk to us next week while we're in Vegas. How'd that poop go?
Yeah.
No, that was Patrick that had to do it. It wasn't me. It was Patrick.
Yes, it was. And we're not going to get pictures of that. So no, Doc, I don't want pictures of that. No.
Abort.
And for the last time, I am not sticking it in you.
Abort.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us. Please, and if you can see us in Vegas, please let us know. I'll have a little memento to give you if you mention the show. So chances are I will see Lana and I will see her husband out there. And I know they're fans of the show and they already got mementos, but I can see if I can drum something else up for you guys. So if you're there, come look for us. You'll see us wandering around somewhere between floor 1 and 26. So, be careful getting there. And please just don't have a great week, but make it so.
And if you can, support the show by going to patreon.com/Starfleet Underground. Lots of perks to choose from, and you might even like some of them. Starfleet Underground, beaming into a podcast feed near you. Log on to our website at starfleetunderground.com and send your comments and questions to thecollective@starfleetunderground.com. Follow us on Twitter at StarfleetUnderG and on Facebook and Instagram, we're Starfleet Underground.
No, I'm not pulling that either. It's in the wrong place for me to pull it. It's rude
Don't pull
looking.
it.
That's
Don't
not what
pull
she
it.
said.
It doesn't say stroke it, does it? If it says stroke on the screen.
Stroke.
What the
Stroke.
Oh shit! The light's still on. Everybody be quiet.